What's up, everybody? It's Webby here, and this is actually going to be the first video that I do on my Webby Does Magic channel. This is going to just be a normal commander deck opening, so you already know everything that's coming inside here, but I figured it would be pretty cool to just open it together and look at them. I actually haven't looked and seen. I just like what's in here. I just know that I'm a huge fan of Fallout, so when I found out they had a Fallout precon with Mothman. Never played 76, but I'm a huge fan of Mothman. So I even got some sleeves here, along with my favorite deck box by Mage Tech. I think this is their Mage Tech Commander. I have 3 decks in total now. This is the Lord of the Rings precon, and this is uh, some other precon that I picked up from a local game store that somebody kind of just made. And I'm a huge fan of these. These were already sleeved when I bought them, but if it's a commander deck of 100, I think it'll actually fit 100 double sleeved or like 120 single sleeved. And then they all come with this, I don't know what you call these, but like these thick plastic magnetic ones, and it fits sleeved cards in there. So I'm a huge fan because you get this for your commander. Thing that I also noticed, they have this holographic like little card in here, and it comes with a sleeve. So you also get a free sleeve, and this one's pretty thick and durable. So if that's what you're into, I usually just keep them in here for like an extra divider. It comes with a little card divider and more than enough space for your cards, as well as I'll show you on my Lord of the Rings one. There's a little on all of these, there's a little dice tray. So I keep some like little tokens and counters in here, as well as a die. So huge fan of that. So much storage space. And these things are under 25 bucks, at least for me, on Amazon. You get them in like a day, depending on where you live. But huge fan. I love being able to see the commander out the front. And I got blue here because I wanted to do like a Fallout theme. So I'm doing a blue commander card case with yellow sleeves. So it's kind of like Vault Tech. I've just been getting in the habit of buying one of these deck cases for every single deck I have because I just enjoy it so much. I'll keep that there. Take this stuff out. And let's get into this, shall we? Hopefully the lighting's not too weird. I just set up this webcam and light for Spell Table, and I figured it would make a good spot for a video. The lighting's a little bit off though. I don't know how you actually are supposed to open these. I usually like go through the top here, but I see that they have perforations on the side, so I'm gonna try this for the first time ever. Oh, okay. So it just pops out like that, huh? And then you're able to slide this. Boom. All right, so deck is empty. I heard this was a really fun precon to play. I wasn't sure which one to get, but I did like some very quick preliminary reading when I went to buy this. And they all said Mothman was fun, and then he has like some this I guess it doesn't, oh yeah, here, rad counter mechanic. The rad thing, it seems like it's probably not gonna ever come back outside of these 4 sets at least. I don't know if it's in the other ones. So that's kind of a interesting thing to think about, I feel. So we have all these little counters here. These are pretty cool. Look at that. For the Mothman. I don't really know what to do with these. I'm probably gonna just start keeping like bulk cards or extra stuff in these little boxes that come with the precon since I have these. Ooh, collector booster sample. All right, we'll open this together, see if we get anything good. I have no idea. So I'm also a huge fan of these life counters that come in precons. At least the 2 that I've bought come with these. They're really cool. Good way to keep track of your life. Move to the deck. I'll put him back there. Universes Beyond. I don't even know what this is. I've never had like a poster or something. Oh, okay. So it's how to play the precon, I guess. Pretty neat. Black and green nature. I don't know if nature really fits radiation, but I mean, that's pretty cool art though. Look at that. That's super sick. I don't really know what people use these things for, but I don't have like a lot of things for magic, like counters and stuff like that. So I'll take everything I could get. Let's see, am I missing anything else? I really like this Pip Boy. I wish that was like pop out. It's pretty cool. Let's hop into the deck, shall we? I've washed my hands. Pretty excited. Oh, and there's art, I think, right? Or is that in the boosters? I do like the art cards. I put them on the back of my commanders, on the back side of these little things. So I'll be surprised because I didn't look at the deck list, but I'm assuming you guys didn't either if you're sitting here with me. All right, Wise Mothman. Ooh. What rarity is orange? Is that mythic? So these two mythics right here. Very cool cards though. So when he enters, you get a rad counter, which is interesting. I'm not too sure what the rad counter thing is. I'll have to look into it, see how that plays. And then when non-land cards are milled, put a 1/1 counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of non-land cards milled this way. So as soon as he enters the battlefield or attacks, right? Each player, including yourself, gets a rad counter. Once you get a rad counter, you mill a card, depending on how many rad counters you have. Maybe there's some cards here that will increase the amount of rads you get applied to you, or something like that, which is pretty interesting. And then you also lose a life based on how many cards you had to mill. And then you lose your rad counter, so it doesn't really continue. And then as soon as the non-land cards are milled, each creature, depending on how many mills, gets a 1/1 counter on it. You can kind of buff your entire board, it seems like. If I'm reading this right, we're learning together, right? That's what I'm assuming that means, which is pretty cool. That sounds like a super fun mechanic to play around. But let's get this guy sleeved up. Super cool. Super cool commander. All right, we won't read every single one of these cards because that's going to take way too long. And I think we're like 15 minutes in almost. When the Master Transcendent enters the battlefield, target player gets 2 rad counters. Ooh. Cool. I wonder if you can play this. I think this is going to be like the alt commander as well, if you didn't want to play Mothman. But, I mean, why wouldn't you play Mothman? Look at this dude is super cool. Look at those freaking eyes. That's sick. So you can target someone to get 2 rad counters. You can tap them to put a target creature card in the graveyard. Oh, so you can bring someone from the graveyard back onto the battlefield under your control. It's now a green mutant with a base power and toughness of 3/3. It loses its other colors and creature types. Dang, the holo on this looks so cool. Or foil, sorry. I don't know. What do you call it? Foil? I don't know if this is a sick card too. Look how freaky that is. What's going on with him? We'll put him right in there. Right there. Oh, yeah. So you have more creatures. Look at this. That adds rad counters if they don't have any. Okay, I need to know what proliferate means. Oh, choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind already there. So if everybody has rad counters, then they just get another one. I believe. Insect mutant boatfly swarm enters the battlefield with 5/1/1 counters on it. 0/0. Oh, but it has 5, so it ends up being 5/5. If damage would be dealt by the swarm while it has a 1/1 counter on it, prevent that damage. Remove that many 1/1 counters from it, and then give each player a rad counter. This seems like a toxic deck. Cathedral Acolyte. Each creature I have that has a counter gets a ward of 1. Whenever it becomes the target of a spell, counter it unless they pay 1 mana. And then I can tap it to put 1/1 counter on this creature. Oh, on target creature that entered the battlefield this turn. This seems like a pretty strong deck. I don't know. Maybe for like a new person, right? Infesting Radroach. Radroach can't block. When infesting, Radroach deals combat damage to a player, they get that many rad counters. Whenever an opponent mills a non-land card, if infesting Radroach is in your graveyard, I can return it to my hand. What? Dude, I cannot wait to play with this deck. We were supposed to do a spell table tonight, but I ended up getting back to the Airbnb like way later than I wanted to. So, not way later, but a little later. And they're all playing on Central Time. So, blowing 1 creature, zombie mutant death touch. Ooh, when it deals damage, they get 4 rad counters. And then I gain a life if they mill a non-land card. How do you play against this deck? It sounds so toxic. What the hell? Lumbering Land Sloth. Spell costs 1 less to cast for each counter among players and permanents. This guy looks like it's he's tanky. But I mean, I guess you can get some of the mana cost down with counters across the board. 8/8 with trample. That guy's thick. Draw X cards, then you get half X rad counters rounded up. So I can cast this instant, tap like 7 mana or something, and then draw that cards and get 3.5, or I guess it would be 4 rad counters. Interesting. This guy's pretty cool. Look at him. Mutant Warrior. He's got a ward of 2. And when he enters, the target player gets 4 rad counters. And he can't be blocked if the defending player has a rad counter. This is just like these guys are just entering and basically giving people, like, this guy enters and immediately does 4 damage, basically. Or he applies like a dot to somebody. Right? Because they're gonna lose that much life. And mill 4 cards. That's insane. That's insane to me. That seems broken. Raw Troubleshooter. Legendary creature. Ooh, zombie mutant rogue. During each of your turns, 1 time, you may cast a spell from among the cards in your graveyard that were milled this turn. Each player mills a card. I can tap the mill card for everybody. So, oh, okay. So milling is, I thought you milled cards from your hand, not cards from your library. That is a little less toxic. Quite a bit less toxic, actually. Lizard Mutant. Look at that. Menace. He can't be blocked except for by 2 or more creatures. Each creature card in your graveyard has Scavenge. The Scavenge cost is equal to its mana cost. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Pay its mana cost. Put a number of 1/1 counters equal to that card's power on target creature. Scavenge only as a sorcery. Yo, so imagine we did something crazy. Like, that's 8 counters if we're able to pull that off. 8 1/1 counters. You're basically just summoning that card out or sacrificing that card for its power to be put on something else. Bobblehead, look at this. 1 mana of any color. Put X 1/1 counters on target creature where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. Cultivate. Search for 2 basic land cards, reveal them, place them, put one on the battlefield, tap, and the other into your hand. Oh, I got a little too excited putting that card in there. Farseek. Search your library for plain, island, swamp, mountain, put it into the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Harmonize, draw 3 cards. That guy's pretty cool looking, huh? Inspiring Call, draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible. That's crazy. So I've seen a couple cards that add 1/1 counters on different things. Like this card alone, right? The Mothman. Whenever you mill cards, you put a 1/1 counter on that many target creatures. So each creature that I control that has any sort of counter on it or a 1/1 counter on it, they're now indestructible. Absolutely juiced the board. If one or more 1/1 counters you would be put on a creature, twice that many 1/1 counters are put on it instead. That's pretty insane, actually. Rampant growth. Find a basic land. Putrefy. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. Winding Constrictor. If one or more counters would be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many plus 1 of each of those kinds of counters are put on that permanent instead. Arcane Signet. I have like a couple of these, I think. Fun card. Contagion Clasp. When Contagion Clasp enters, put a -1/-1 counter on a target creature. And then you can proliferate, which just gives another counter of each kind already there. Soul Ring. Just adds 2 uncolored, no color mana, uncolored mana. What do you call it? Talisman of Curiosity. Pretty cool. I'm not going to be reading these artifacts and stuff since you guys can kind of see them. I'm just going to start sleeving them so we can start getting through this a little bit faster. This one has land cycling. You can discard this card and search for a basic land card. Reveal it, then put it into your hand and shuffle. Command Tower. How many command towers can you have in your deck? I think Commander, you can only have 1 of each color, or each card, other than lands. Zombie or mutant you control dies. If its power was different from its base power, draw a card. Hell yeah. So 2 mana and a sacrifice of a creature. You can put a 1/1 counter on the target creature you control, and it gains flying. Ooh, Mirelurk Queen. I'm a big fan of Vigilance. I like being able to play something and then attack, or attack and not be tapped. Especially someone kind of thick like this 4/4 shoddy. But what's even cooler about this, when non-land cards are milled, you draw a card and put a 1/1 counter on Mirelurk Queen. That's sick. She can get thick with Vigilance. So she can hit hard and tank hard. Hyper right. Hyper? Anytime she deals damage, you investigate, which means you create a clue token, and it's an artifact with a mana cost of 2, and if you sacrifice it, you draw a card. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, 1/1 counter on a target creature you control. Okay, so I've noticed a trend in the decks that I play, including this one, but they all seem to be like scaling decks, adding 1/1 counters to things, and they just get bigger and badder, right? And I think it's really cool and it's a fun way that I played the few times that I have played to kind of just scale into it. But I kind of want to try something different, and I don't know. Like, I want a deck that's a bit different than just dealing with all these counters. Like the Riders of Rohan one, at least if you're using Eowyn as your commander, you're just spawning knights and adding counters to them, uh, and building up humans and stuff like that. And with the Anim Bakal one, you're adding counters to her anytime you attack, and like building gnomes, which also get counters. And it's just a lot of counters, man. And sometimes that's a lot to keep up with, you know? So Radstorm. When you cast the spell, copy it for each spell cast before this turn. Choose a Brotherhood or Enclave. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card. You draw a card for each card drawn this way. Enclave, whenever a player attacks you with one or more creatures, that player gets twice that many rad counters. That sounds toxic. I'm running Enclave. You want to attack me? You want to attack me? All right, bro. Enjoy the radiation, buddy. Feral Ghoul, Menace, which Menace is 2 blockers needed, right? Yes. And whenever a creature I have dies, it gets a 1/1 counter on Feral Ghoul. When he dies, they get rad counters. If this guy gets crazy and then dies somehow, like I wonder if I have a way to like exile or sacrifice him, just like kill everybody. That's a pretty cool win condition, if I'm using that terminology right. Hancock. Each other creature you control that's a zombie or mutant gets more counters, which is equal to the number of counters on Hancock. Well, this guy would come with none, but when he dies, if it had no 1/1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. Ooh. A nuclear fallout. Each creature gets twice the negative counters until end of turn. Each player gets X rad counters. Reaching Scorch Beast to Flying Menace. Whenever it attacks, each player gets 2 rad counters. Whenever one or more non-land cards are milled, you may create that many 2/2 black zombie mutant creature tokens. Do this only once each turn. I don't know how I would play against this deck. I mean, I guess the best thing about that is to play the deck, right? And then you learn like what screws you over, what counters you, stuff like that. But at this time, this deck kind of seems scary. And I'm sure those of you that are much more well versed in Magic and this stuff, and even maybe this deck, would know. But like, actually, I know the weakness of this deck right now. It's a saga, 3 rad counters, create tokens, and you put counters on each creature you control that's a zombie or mutant. Put it wild. Ooh, Harold and Bob. Vigilance and Reach. First nummons. What the hell is a nummin? When they die, if it was a creature, returned to the battlefield. Lily Bowen? Raging Grandma? Enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters at the beginning of your upkeep. Double the number of 1/1 counters on Lily. If its power is 16 or less. Otherwise, remove all but 1/1 counters from it, then gain 1 life for each of the 1/1 counters removed this way. That's crazy. So upkeep, this person gets 1/1 counters until it's 16. Remove all but 1/1 counters, then you gain 1 life. So you can kind of just tap this, or like, not like actually like tap as like the mechanic of tapping in Magic, but tap as in like access, use there's like a bank of life. That's pretty cool. Power Fist. Trample, and whenever it deals damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. Rampaging Yao Guai enters the battlefield with 1/1 counters on it, depending on how much mana you drop in. This seems like a mana intensive deck, actually. Like reading it. Oh, and then you have to destroy any number of target. Oh, target and if okay. Damn, just a board wipe of enchantments. I gotta play this against my buddy Heidi's. He's making this deck. It's like a completely mono blue deck, I think is what you would call it. When it's just one color, right? And it's just enchantments and artifacts, I think. Whenever strong is dealt damage, you get 3 rad counters and put 3 1/1 counters. You gain life rather. What? Oh, dude, we gotta pull this quick so we don't rot from our own rads. Other than that, it's gonna be a quick game then. Whenever land enters under your control, you get 2 rad counters, and then you can pull another land card from your graveyard. Elk mutant, look at that double-headed elk. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a 1/1 on this creature. Frank Horrigan has indestructible as long as it's attacked this turn. Proliferate twice. Deathclaw. There's a lot of mythics in here. That might be normal for precons though, you know? I'm super excited to play this deck. I can't wait. I'll record the video. I think I might do it tomorrow night. We'll see. We shall see. But this Alpha Deathclaw, I didn't read it, sorry. Menace Trample. When he enters, he becomes monstrous. Destroy target permanent. And then you can pay a bunch of mana for Monstrosity 4. If he's not monstrous, put 4 1/1 counters on it and becomes monstrous. Dang. This guy can end up being 10/10 for the low price of 9 of any color, 2 black and 2 green. That's pretty pricey though. Destroy non-land permanent, proliferate. Mutant Mare. That's pretty neat. Vigilance and Trample. Anytime you get a creature you control to deal damage to a player, draw a card. Anything with counters gets hexproof and indestructible until the end of the turn. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to those permanents this turn. Forced Evolution. Gain control of target non-mutant creature for as long as you control Vault 87. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, becomes a mutant in addition to other types. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among mutants you control. Dude, we need to have that. There's a lot of like draw cards, I feel. Draw cards. And like you could get some big ass hands. I wonder if there's that one card that lets you have like an unlimited hand. 3/0 counters and hands intimidate, which means it can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or creatures that share a color with it. Interesting. Whenever it attacks until the end of its defending player's next turn, that player gets 2 rad counters whenever they cast a spell. 0/0 blue alien creature token, put a 1/1 counter. Anytime it attacks this vehicle, proliferate. Lands, enchant or curse. Beginning of each end step, enchanted player mills X cards, where X is the number of cards put into the graveyard from anywhere this turn. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. If one or more 1/1 counters would be put on a creature you control, twice that many 1/1 counters are put on that creature instead. Branching Evolution. That is definitely a card, right? Like another card. Like an existing card. It just now has Fallout text. Non-token creature under your control doesn't have the same name as another creature. Draw a card. If one or more 1/1 beyond you control that many plus 1/1. Okay. This is just like exponentially increasing things. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. Clue token. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you get 1/1 on the tracker. Biomass. Okay. Blue or green. That's cool. They have base power and toughness, XX until end of turn. Ooh, choose one or more. This is kind of pricey. War never changes. Destroy artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. Ooh, look at this. Dual effect card or whatever. Return up to 2 target creatures from your graveyard to your hand. Or you may put 2 1/1 counters on a creature you control. Then all creatures get -4, -4 until end of turn. I am pretty happy that we're just pulling lands now. I'm not having to remove. You can tap this one to remove a counter from target permanent you control onto another permanent. Sunken Hollow enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Oh, this one lets you scry. This one enters tapped. This one also lets you scry. This one also lets you scry. Then we get the cool little cardboard one. All right, moment you've been waiting for, you guys. Collector Booster, a sample pack. Very cool. A little simple sample. There's more where that came from. Ooh, Plasma Caster. Equipped creature gets a 1/1 counter. Whenever it attacks, you get something. I don't know what that is. Pay that much. Is that just like a currency it gives you? Choose target creature that's blocking equipped creature. Flip a coin. If you win the flip, exile the chosen creature. Otherwise, Plasma Caster deals 1 damage to it. Pretty neat. And Canyon Slow Swap enters the battlefield type cycling 2. 4, 8, 9, 40 cents. Oh, this is the extended art. Ooh. Wow. 40 cents. What about Plasma Caster? Let's go ahead and zoom out now. Plasma Caster, 8 cents. Ayo. But anyways, that was an hour-long video. Hopefully I can cut it down, make it not too cringe to watch. All right, everybody. That is it. I'm gonna actually definitely go to sleep now. That was the Mothman precon. And we're all set and good to go. Check this out. Here's my 3 decks. Very Riders of Rohan using Eowyn, but I hear that Aragorn's pretty fun to use. Then we have the Mutant Mayhem or whatever it was called. Which one's this? Mutant Menace with the Wise Mothman and the Creature guy, the Great Creator, and then the Animpakal. I've played this one time. A lot of fun. It seems like a strong deck. But either way, I'm going to clean up. I'm going to head to bed. Thank you guys for watching the video. Hopefully you got something out of it. I might not even post this because there's not really a reason to. Bye-bye.